It says I'm live. Good morning. It is November 18th, 2022. I'm Sensei Mish, and welcome to Morning Tea with me. It is currently 10:14 Pacific Standard Time. It's AM. So if you're watching this after that, still please comment, but I'm not going to respond because I'm not going to see it, at least until maybe if it pops up later. So uh, this has been an extremely challenging week for me. Um, I have been, for some reason, and I don't know why, I've been off like for the last couple weeks. I have not been able to keep um, any type of uh, um, any type of schedule, any type of routine. I still go walking every day, or most days. I actually haven't walked every day, uh, but yeah, I just haven't been able to for the last couple weeks. I just have not had a routine because usually I walk at 9 a.m. every morning, and then that gets me like on Fridays, that gets me back in time to come on about 10:15, like I am today. But the last couple weeks, I just have not like don't know. Like I'll wake up in the morning, I'll be awake. I'm just not doing anything because my brain just doesn't want to engage. So even though I have things I need to do, and not to say that I haven't been productive, but I could have been more productive. So let's just say that. Um, so going off of that part, I wake up Monday morning and I have an email from it's an automated email from one of my websites, and because I there's three main no three there's five main sites I maintain. Um, you could actually say there's three primary ones, and then there's two secondary ones. So I get an email, and I'm like, okay, well, there's um, and it says that there's something wrong. Like there's a file corrupt or something like that. There basically an error message, and it says, and it's like this automated email from like it says it's from WordPress. As of WordPress 5 point whatever whatever. When they receive an error message, they'll send you an email. And I had never heard of that before, ever, ever. So I'm like, okay. So I go online, and the website isn't coming up, or I maybe the I was was I able to get to the website? I can't remember, but the website, yeah, it just like blank page, like blank blank page, not knowing what's going on. So then I go to my artisan site, and same thing, nothing. Um, I I tried on some of my sites I could get into the admin area, but I could not get into the admin area of Artisan Martial Arts, and even like the little sites like a year of trek.com, or I and like I have makbara.com. It's just kind of sitting there. It's free to sit there. I own the domain, and I was planning on doing something with it, but I just haven't. That that was even messed up. And I'm just like, I don't I don't understand. So I call the hosting company that uh, that I've been with. I've been with them for about 25 years. I'm guessing roughly 25 years. Because I started my web design company in 97 or 98, somewhere around there. And I've had the same account, the same web host since then because they're awesome. They've never raised their prices, but they always like, oh, here's more. We're going to give you more space. We're going to give you more of this. We're going to give you more of that. Um, Good morning, Tom. How are you, sir? I heard the seminar went well. Oh, yeah, and Bram's site is back up. So for those people who went to Tom's the Crimp and Q Show event with Bram and Evan Pantazzi, if you got a coupon to buy a Crimp at a discount, the website is back up. I'm actually in the middle of telling that story of kind of how it got there. So it's back up. You can go buy. And so I think the coupon is good until, I don't know, December 3rd or something like that. I can't remember. But on top of that, I just have to say, and I don't have it downstairs. So um, uh, quick left turn to Albuquerque. Bram teaches Crimp with Evan Pantazzi, and Pantazzi did his what is it, the Q Show Tactical Pressure Point Program. I don't know what it's called, but it's for security law enforcement. It's geared towards that, and I hear it's a great program. So anyway, so Evan was there, and Evan ends up giving Bram two of his books, and one for him and one for me. So Bram sends me the book, so I have it. It's sitting upstairs, but in it is actually one of the coupons that Tom made for. You know what? I hold on a half a second. Okay, I'm back. So, KTCP, Q Show Tactical Control Program. Okay. Oh yeah, and good morning, Rob. How are you, sir? So anyway, so this is Evan's book. I think you can buy it off of qshow.com, but we're somewhere. Anyway, so I get this and I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm kind of looking through it, and what pops out but this. So this is so cool. So it's basically saying, hey, you've gone to the seminar. Here's a coupon. Here's a coupon code. Visit this website. Put this in, and yeah, that was it's in the shape of a crimp. I just thought that was so cool. So very very innovative way to promote and have a coupon that people don't have to remember to write it down. But I thought that was very very cool. So Tom, if you're still on, there you go. More, grand props on that. So back to my story. So I am I call Pair.com. Pair Networks is the place that I go through. So wonderful company. I really wouldn't go anywhere else. So so anyway, I call their support and I'm like, I don't know. So he puts in a ticket, and I get this email. I get an email saying, with my ticket number or whatever, because they put everything in tickets. I get this email from the security department saying, oh yeah, so your website has been website's been hacked, and we can fix it, but we're going to take all of your sites offline. And so when you put in one of the domains that I run, it would actually come. It came to, you just ask for a username and password, so I could put that in and still work on the pages, but no one else could access it. So they started their cleanup, and they confirmed that any user information. They looked at all the change logs, or not change logs, but all the logs that went through, and it doesn't look like they stole any information, but they just obliterated the site with just bullshit malware. So anyway, so they're like, okay, so they're cleaning it, and that process started. I don't know, what was it? Um, was that Monday? I want to say it was Monday. Um, I'm going to double check because it's Friday now. So yeah, so that was Monday, and then I get this. So they start the process, and the process, basically all the emailing back and forth. It ends up being like 1 p.m. my time. So they're working on it. They're cleaning it up. Tuesday, I don't know, I'm not sure what I was able to do. Or I didn't hear anything, nothing, because they've always been really good at, here's an update, here's an update, here's an update. So I don't hear anything for like 24 hours. And so I email them back. I'm like, hey, would really like to know something. Do I have to start from scratch? Because that was my fear, was having to rebuild everything from scratch. And but I was like, they were like, I didn't hear anything. So a couple hours go by, and I call the support number again. And I talked to this guy, and he's like, well, they do everything over email. There's no way you can talk to him on the phone. And I'm just like, I'm kind of freaking out here. And the guy's really nice, and so he says, well, he says, I found your ticket. I'm going to make it a priority that they respond to you. Okay. Because every time I email, it's attached to the same ticket, but they can see the most recent conversation. So they're like, hey, I'm gonna promote, get this up there. So I'm so I'm like, okay, and the guy's like, okay, they'll get back to you in, soon. Couldn't promise a time frame, but just said soon. So about an hour goes by, and I get an email from the guy that I talked to. All right, thanks for hanging in, man, or tuning in. I'll talk to you later. So what is it? So anyway, so I get an email, and it says that the security team working on my thing has gone home for the day. Now they are on the East Coast, so they're 3 hours ahead of me, and I'm just like, seriously? There's not an on-call guy that can like let me know, like, can respond to my damn email, because all I'm asking is how much longer, status report. That's all I need. So so I have what is it? So there's uh so I call back, and I know this is a long story, I'm sorry. So I call back, and the guy's like, uh I tell him a brief description. I said, this is what's going on. I just got this email. I need to talk to somebody. So go through the whole thing. Not a minute after I get off the phone with him, I get a phone call from uh, uh, let's see. I get a phone call. Oh no, I don't get a phone call, but I get an email from the security department saying, "Hey, we're still working on it. It was pretty extensive, but everything is being cleaned up. It should be done by the morning." And I'm like, the morning? What the hell? So this is going into Wednesday. Oh, and Rob, of course, he's very supportive. Get your book before someone jacks up the site again. Now that's a great way to promote this. Thanks, Rob. So, so yeah, so my book, which I'm going to plug in a little bit, but I had to get the story out. So, so we, so well, they're 3 hours ahead. So by the time I wake up, I should have an answer. Wrong. About 9 o'clock on, maybe it was 8. I don't know, but about 9 o'clock on Wednesday, I get an email saying everything's cleaned up. Here's a list of things you need to do, and then we'll release your site. Okay. So I'm like, great. So so I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to prioritize what I need, what I need to do. So um, there's, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do Artisan first. I'm gonna do CSSD next, and then I'll do the modular training, and then I'll do the Bram camp, and then I'll do Kyusho Corner. I was going to do it in that order. So I spend I spend the next, I don't know how long. I mean, I did teach, but like Wednesday, I didn't do any of my push-ups for the day. None. I was so like, I got to get this done. Remember how at the beginning of the story I said I could not get into the admin section of Artisan? Yeah, I still couldn't get into the admin portion of Artisan. And I I was like, I, I'm gonna have to start. I'm gonna have to start from scratch again. So, uh, so I decide what I'm gonna do is um, I'll install a new fresh version of WordPress and link it to the original database and see if I can save that stuff. You know, and it works. I can, I can add, of course, fresh install. All the users are there. All the information is there. So all I need to do is just put in plugins, and because that's just the software. The data is coming from the database. So I figured it was going to be. Uh, um, so I think I'm good. I think I'm good. So I install all the plugins, and then I start to go to some of the pages, and the main page works. I go to the main page. Main page comes up just fine, and then none of the other pages come up. None of them, and I'm like, I don't understand, because like on I went to go check the CSSD site. I could get into the admin. The main page came up, but all the subsequent pages just weren't coming up. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, what's wrong? I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Couldn't figure it out for the life of me. So I'm like, I'm in kind of freak out mode, and I'm just gonna start from scratch. Screw it. Doesn't matter. Start from scratch. All right, so Rob's pushing this book. Get your copy of the book. Outside sources don't want to be released, with a link. That's good. I like that. I think I'm going to bring that back up. Yes, true. Haters going to hate. Players going to play. Hackers, they're going to hack. That's my last push on this thread, I think. Now, you say you think, because when I actually start talking about it, you're going to probably post it again. That's okay. So I do a fresh install of WordPress, and I could do it through My host, has this. It's called they call it SIM, I think SIM, but it's basically this. It's a manager, so I can just say, hey, on this domain, I want this installed, this installed, this installed, and it's all automated. They do it themselves. A database gets created automatically. But if I'm going to install to my own database, I have to upload all the files myself from my computer to the server. So, but I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go old school. I've got a fresh new version of WordPress. I'm just going to upload the files. I create a brand new database and I start installing. I had this list of things that I needed to go down. These are the plugins I use. So this is what I'm going to do. So I get started and I had this feeling I was forgetting something. I wasn't sure. So I'm like, okay. So and one of the cool things is I'm able to do on the back end is that if I create a new folder, I can basically map my domain to whatever folder I want. So, and that's kind of how I was taking Artisan. I'd go in and I'd map it to a directory and then I'd work on the directory. So I remap it to the new, or I remap it to the old new site, because the old site, that one's messed up. So I remap it to the old new site. And I get in there and I double check stuff and I'm like, okay, maybe it was just my imagination. And then just for shits and giggles, I decide I'm just going to look at the site. And for some reason, and I could not explain it, all the pages worked. All of them. They all came up. What the hell? They all came I was angry and excited all at the same time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to stick here because it's the original database. I don't have to worry about moving users over or anything like that. So, so there was one plugin I did not want to use because I felt that it was slowing down my site, and so I I had to rebuild some pages or fix some pages because it was using this one plugin that had little widgets in it. So so it did take time to do that, and that there was one forms program that I used to build all the contact forms and collect to collect information on students as they register. I used to pay for that, and I don't anymore because it was just too expensive, and I didn't want to repay for it. So I had found a forms plugin that did 90% of this other program that was free. So of course I'm going to go free over having to pay for something if I don't have to. So I had to rebuild all the forms. So I spent, I don't know how long doing all the forms. So Wednesday night, probably Thursday morning, I should say, I end up going to bed. Artisan is finished. It works. I'm not going to worry about it. So yesterday, I wake up and I'm like, I double check Artisan, everything works. I then go on to, then I start on CSSD. And like I said, I had access to the admin section. I could see the front page, but the main page, but all the subsequent pages, they weren't working at all. So I went into, okay, well, I'm just going to start from scratch, base it off the original folder, so I don't have to refresh any database information. Yeah, so I ran into the same thing I did with Artisan. And so I was like, okay, well, how did I fix Artisan? Honestly, I didn't know how I fixed Artisan, but I was like, I'm going to follow the same motions. So I went fresh, brand new install with new database. Worked on that for a little bit, went and then remapped it to the old new folder. And guess what? It didn't work. It still didn't work. And I was just pulling my hair out. If I had longer hair, I would have patches missing from my head. So I ended up going to, so I call Pairback and I'm like, I think I've talked to you guys more in the last week, in the last couple of days, than I have talked to you guys in the last 20 plus years. And so I told the guy, I told him what happened, and he's like, okay, let me go look and see. And so he's like, okay, go to your site. Because I told him which domain I was working on. And so he says, okay, what I want you to do, he says, I want you to go to the site. He says, I noticed something. I made a small change with a file and I want you to check on it. So I go, everything works. Everything works. And I'm like, what the hell did you do? So there's this little file. It's called an htaccess file. And it's kind of acts like as a security file for websites. And so if you have it set up, like you can see one page, but you can't see any of the others that link to it, unless of course you have special access. So with WordPress, it's kind of a required file. And I learned that when hackers get in there and install a bunch of malware, usually the htaccess file is like massive. And they just put a bunch of garbage in it. So during the cleanup, those files were removed from all of my sites. Now, how the htaccess file got reinstalled onto the old new file for Artisan, I couldn't explain that. I don't know how that happened. But once it was installed on CSSD, like, oh my gosh. So when it came to fixing Bram's Birthday Bash, Q-Show Corner, the Bram, Frank's Modular Training, and CSSD-SC.com, it was one file. One file that was missing. I got the file in there. I double checked, and it was actually pretty cool because I'm kind of glad, because the theme that I use for both Bram sites, not the birthday camp one, because that's just one of the default themes that comes with WordPress. But the theme that I chose, that I use for both the knife site and the training site, I can't get anymore. It doesn't exist. Like, I went searching for themes. I can't download it. It is not available. So I would have had to have chosen a new theme and rebuilt all the pages based on that. So there's that. Yeah. And I was in the process of doing that. I had a new theme in there, a theme that I'm familiar with, but yeah, it was one damn file. So let's see. I think I total hours spent working on fixing everything was probably about 14-ish hours worth of time, which actually is not that bad. Split up over 2 days, it's a lot of time. But basically, and the reason I'm guessing it's about 14 hours is because I put on Star Trek, the Star Trek movies, the original, motion picture, Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock. I put all those on as background because I couldn't just do it in silence. I needed some type of of noise background so my brain could focus. And I knew, like, even though I could like zone out and watch all of those, all the everything, all Star Trek with no problem, I knew that I've seen these a billion times before. I can use it as background noise so I can focus on what I'm doing. I got through all 6 movies. Had to pause a couple times for phone calls or all that, but yeah. So yeah, there you go. Um, I did get my push-ups in yesterday. I tried to make up. I actually got 140 done instead of my normal 100 and 10, 118. Trying to do about 116 a day so I can have rest days. So uh, Wednesday was my inadvertent rest day. I didn't mean for it to be my rest day, but yeah, I got 140 out yesterday. I'll probably get another. Going to try and get another 140-ish out today. Um, just because I want to Sunday, I want that to be my rest day, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that is my adventure for the week. So last night, after everything was cleaned up, I emailed the security department, and because they, it was not just fixing the sites, but change. I had to clean up my site a little bit, and that was actually some of my want. Like, I have these domains I don't use, and they're just sitting there, and I didn't want somebody to use one of those domains I don't look at as a security thing. So the only domains on my site are the ones surrounding those the 5 main domains, and then I just put all of them, deleted everything else, got rid of a bunch of databases that aren't being used. So I really scaled down. And of course, I changed names, changed passwords, updated usernames, all that kind of stuff. So I sent an email to the security department like, "Hey, it's done." And so I went to bed last night. I woke up this morning. I woke up this morning at like 5 because somebody was calling, and I don't know who was calling, but it would ring once and then hang up. But when they called, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna check my email," and boom, they were like, "Excellent job. Thank you for your hard work on this. We have released the pages." And I'm like, "Yes!" So websites are back online. Um, when it comes to my wonderful book, I actually don't have it here. It is actually at this school because I'm using the prototype copy that I have. So I can't show it off here. Um, but that all being said, um, I have I did get, since the website was down, I did have 2 people order books. They called me and they were like, "Hey, I'm trying to order a book and I can't for some reason. Your website's down." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Technical issues." Um, and so I did it manually. So I'm actually at 62 pre-sales. So I have 62 books that are heading all over the world. Like, I've got, and what is today? Today's the 18th. So really, this being the podcast before Thanksgiving, I really want to uh, um, really promote. Um, promote's the wrong word. I Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. Um, and I don't really see it as I wish I, but I like to I want to take advantage. I try and basically promote the idea um, that if you don't already, let people know who you're grateful for. This is the time of year. Specifically, this is the time of year to do that. I mean, Thanksgiving is an American holiday, but it is, it's that time that we give thanks for all that we have, and sometimes, there's people who aren't very thankful, or they don't think that they have anything to be thankful for. Um, I will say this last week has been like, at the beginning, I was saying that the last couple weeks I've just kind of been off. I've tried to get back into my routine, but I haven't been able to. I don't know why. I don't have a good answer for that. This week has been extremely challenging for me with the website because I was so stressed. Like, I have a book, I have books I'm trying to sell. Bram is trying to sell knives. I have an event tomorrow that I need the site to be up for, so I can be like, hey, you go to our website, sign up for a class, whatever. And I can't, like it was, and I was, the stress was overcoming me so much that I just couldn't, I couldn't think straight. So, uh, but when I really think about, no matter how bad things get, okay, no matter how bad things get, I have some of the greatest friends. Some of them I have never met, but I'm going to consider them my friends. I have some of the greatest friends in the world. Like, I have, and even the friends of mine that are actually friends that I talk to on a regular basis, and I see, even if I don't talk to them on a regular basis, I see them at least once or twice a year, and we still keep in contact. Like, I am grateful for everybody. I truly am. I'm grateful for everybody that's a part of my life, because I'm just some fat white dipshit in the Pacific Northwest that is sending books all over the world. All over the world. It blows my mind. It does. It blows my mind. And whether the people who are buying my book knew me before the book came out, knew of me before the book came out, or saw the book and goes, "Oh, I want that because one of my friends shared it." Um, I like I can't say I'm blown away at the support that I've gotten. Um, so even in this last, just this last week, just horrible, horrible, horrible. Um, and that's just the website stuff. There was other, like, my brain, sometimes goes in every which direction. But I start to think, it's not the end of the world, because I have a lot to be grateful for. I have wonderful friends. I have a wonderful wife who's supportive. I have wonderful kids. I have a grandson that says Papa now. That was really cool because I was talking to my son on the phone, and James was in the background. He goes, "Oh, Papa?" And I was like, "Did he just say Papa?" So I thought that was amazing. That was amazing for me. So, um, yes, I'm very grateful to be your friend, Rob. Rob is an amazing person. And it's funny because we just met. I mean, yeah, we're in the same kind of Q show family and all that kind of stuff, but really we connected over over science fiction, over sci-fi, over Star Trek and Star Wars. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing how you meet these people. Um, uh, yeah, it's just it's great, you know. But yeah, I just can't say enough how supportive I am. I mean, like even like yesterday. So I'm out walking. Um, I'm out doing my walk because I tried to at least go walking every day. But there was one day where it was just so cold. I was like, I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to go out to the car to get in the truck to drive to the school. Like that 20 steps that it takes for me to get to my front door to the truck. It was so cold. I actually think I went through the garage out the side door because it's like 5 steps to my truck instead of, from the front door. But uh but yeah, it's just it but I'm out for my walk yesterday and Jim Corn calls. And Jim and I are, we're working on a book and we've got some other things, doing, but he called and he goes, "Oh, I just wanted to see how you were doing." Fucking serious? That's awesome. Like that with all the BS going on, like he just called just to say hi. Yes, we did talk about other stuff, but yeah. Oh, and then we got some guy from Japan or gal, I don't know. How are you, sir or ma'am? Usagi? Is that how I say it? um, but yeah, like it's amazing. Just to, and so I yeah, just it's just one of those things. One of the things I oh, he's a dude. Okay. That's good. I one of the things that I have that I have an issue with is that I don't reach out enough when I need support. And there were several times that I wanted to reach out and just call and just be like, look, I need to vent or I need to, uh, do whatever, but I just didn't. And I don't know why. I'm one of those people that just kind of suffers in silence. Um, Even though I have my wife to talk to. Who is that? Yeah, somebody came down the stairs. Oh, there we go. Um, we what was I saying? um, Sorry, my ADD squirrel. I don't even think I'm gonna just call it ADD. It's just squirrel syndrome. Um, but yeah, I probably should have, but I didn't. But it is one of those things. I mean, I do talk to my wife, but and but but I don't know. I have to be better on that. Now, all that aside, I had to get that out of the way because I had to explain that. Now, um, another promotion. Be grateful for a great resource guide and share your gratitude by buying your friends and family a copy of the Q Show information guide, which you can order below. And there's the link. Um, I'm going to, can I? Oh, shoot. I don't know if I can highlight that. Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do, um, I'm just going to go to my site and then because the link might not be going because when we link in it'll show up on the page but um, it won't actually share to the YouTube stream and I'm not exactly sure why. So okay, so we'll get this in here like this. All right, there we go. Now it's on YouTube. There's the link. What was I saying? Okay, so the book. Due to the website not being up, I'm actually extending the pre-orders for 2 more days. So, pre-orders were supposed to end yesterday. I extended it through tomorrow. So, however, the people that actually ordered, those orders are being placed today. So, um, but for those who still want to get a copy at a discount, go on there, order, and then I'll make sure it's shipped out to you as soon as I get the order. Now, on the 20th, it goes to normal price. So if you want a copy, now's the time to get it. Or if you want a copy for discount at a discount, now's the copy. Now, for those people who order want to order bulk, or I'm still going to have a bulk price. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more per book, but it'll be, or maybe not. I haven't really decided yet. But yes, for those people who buy 10 or more, I will have a discount code that'll take that price off there for you. So it'll discount that. Let's see. Okay, so I've wanted to talk about this for a while now. Star Trek IV Kelvin. Now we're gonna talk about Star Trek. So, the Kelvin universe. I find it nice that you train martial arts. I like it. Do you train at all? And if you do, what style do you do? So Kelvin universe, they were going to do a Star Trek 4. Like, it was, they have been wanting to do it for a long time, and then they were not going to do it. And then they were going to do it. And it was funny because I can't remember exactly when it was, but Paramount announced, hey, we're doing Star Trek 4. And, the principals are attached to it. And like Chris Pine and some of the other big guys are just like, okay, I want to be involved, but yeah, it would have been nice to have known that I was attached to it before actually announcing that I was attached to it. So upon that, they upon that agreements were made and all that kind of stuff. So they were moving forward, and they were moving forward, and they were moving forward, and then all of a sudden, last month, canceled. They're not going to do it. Like, they had Chris Hemsworth on board because he was going to come back as George Kirk, or not George, as George, and then Chris Pine, I can't think of it. Anyway, everybody was attached. Everybody was going to do it. They had come to terms. They had a script written. Not going to do it. And I am so glad that they are not going to do it. The original, the first Star Trek movie by J.J. Abrams, I think, was really good. Yes, there are problems with it, but for the most part, I really, really enjoyed it. The second movie was absolutely horrible. Yes, I did watch it as part of my Eurotrek, but I will probably never watch it again. Into Darkness is an abomination to all of Star Trek. It's worst ever. Like, it's worse than Spock's brain. It's worse than the Tuvix episode. It's worse than the last episode of Enterprise. Okay, it is the worst. If you haven't guessed it yet, I hate that freaking movie. So, Uh, so let's see. Oh, Into Darkness is played on a loop in the lowest level of hell. That's yes, yes. Um, so we have uh, Beyond was better. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Like I enjoyed it. Yes, they could have done better. Um, but I mean, I don't know why they had to destroy the Enterprise again. Like, why? I don't know. But of course, it was the third movie, so Enterprise gets destroyed in the third movies. Um, Even though Next Generation they just destroyed it in the first movie, but that's okay. Um, so they're doing when they announced that they weren't going to do it, I was like, well, that sucks because I was actually kind of looking forward to it. In fact, I am still, no matter, I, I I want it to be one of those standalone movies, but but I'm still wanting a Quentin Tarantino movie, a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek. Yeah. Let's see. When I was in high school, I mostly trained on how to do kendo, but we also do karate, judo, and aikido. Sorry for the slow response because my English skills in grammar is not good. Yeah, no worries. That's good. That's cool. Um, I don't know. I mainly focus in Okinawan Kempo karate and modular knife, which is Filipino based. It's based on modern arnis. But I've done a little bit of judo and aikido and kind of touched here and there on stuff. But my main focus has always been karate and modular with uh, with a heavy influence of pressure points. So so back to the Star Trek. So after it was announced that they weren't going to do it, um, they I don't know, maybe a couple weeks later, like the writers were like, okay, well the project's not going to happen. So hey, this is what the story was going to be. And when I found out what the story was going to be, I was like, I don't know if there's a god on Mount Paramount or who made the decision. I seriously, I'm hoping that this is what it was. Is that they got the thing and they read the script and they read the idea and they were like, this is dumb. We're not making the movie. I really hope that that's how it went down because do you remember the Next Generation episode Relics, where uh, where Scotty is brought into the 24th century onto Enterprise D because they find a ship with him purposely stuck in a transporter buffer, and that's how he survived. Okay, okay. Um, Good episode. Great for Scotty. Uh, um, but they were going to take that concept and apply it to the Kelvin universe and George Kirk. Now, the last we saw of George Kirk, let's see, the Kelvin was smashing into the whatever uh, um, um, whatever his name is. Um, oh, can't remember his name is. Captain Neo is what was the character, but I was trying to think of the actor's name. Anyway, so the Kelvin was smashing into this this Romulan ship from the future, and like, oh, Eric Bana, thank you. I don't know why it didn't come to me. Okay, Eric Bana. So Kelvin is crashing into Eric Bana's ship, and like I've never paused the scene, but how it plays off in my head of what I think I saw in the scene is that as it smashes, like we get this instant of, because he's sitting in his chair, he's sitting in the captain's chair, and like he's ramming speed, and then as it smashes, we get this picture. He's in his chair, and then all of a sudden we get this lurch forward. He's dead. like he died. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way he survived that. So the idea was that somehow off screen, or there was somebody tried to transport him off of the Kelvin, or he had transported himself off the Kelvin, because he was transporting himself because it was just shuttlecrafts. The shuttlecrafts don't have transport units on them like in the Next Generation. And even then they didn't have it. Like it was the runabouts that had the transporter pads on there. Just a regular shuttlecraft doesn't have that stuff. And we're like, and so we are pre-Kirk. We're like, Kirk is being born in this movie, and you expect me to believe that either somebody from a shuttlecraft transported him off the bridge, or he had the time as he's smashing into this to transport off the bridge onto a shuttlecraft. But the whole thing is that he was stuck in a transporter buffer. So he's either stuck in a transporter buffer on the Kelvin that was destroyed, okay, or on a shuttle that he just he transported, never, yeah. So somehow, and then that's how, and then Kirk and crew, fast forward 30 years, Kirk and crew come across either the shuttlecraft or a piece of the Kelvin, and find that there's somebody stuck in the buffer, and boom, it's Thor, and he's like, "Hi, son." Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm a sci-fi nerd. Okay, I like Star Trek. I like Star Wars. There's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, okay, not. I'll buy that. I guess I'll buy that. Because it might be explained a certain way. I'm sorry. I can't buy that storyline. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Ever. Like, horrible. And I've wanted to talk about this a couple different times coming on here, but I usually forget. So I made notes. I wanted to talk about it because I'm just like, that was dumb. That was really, really dumb. Yeah. So I'm really glad that they're not making Star Trek 4, Kelvin Universe, but I am pushing Quentin Tarantino. I want a Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie. In fact, what I think a Star Trek 4 movie should be in the Kelvin universe is a Kelvin universe reimagining of City on the Edge of Forever. And in fact, let's see, where is it? Where is it? Within reach? It's not really within reach for me. Oh, sorry, it's right here. This if they actually, this is based on the original story. So like the Guardian the guardian of forever is not the guardian. There are guardians. It wasn't McCoy that goes down to the. It's not McCoy that ends up going down and going back in time. It's a guy who basically it's a security or a Starfleet guy that's selling drugs, gets caught, goes back in time, and then goes back in time and changes the future. Starfleet's still around, whereas in the original show there just was nobody. But Starfleet's still around, but it's, they beam up to a ship and it's different, kind of like mirror universe type stuff. And then they have to go back in time, fix the past, and so it was all based off of the Guardians of Forever. So of course you can't have multiple Guardians. You still want to try and keep it as much universe, but Kelvin has fucked everything up so much that I guess you could have multiple, like a council of Guardians and use it that way. But at least to try and keep it somewhat normal, like, you still have, I think I would play, this would make an excellent, get it as close to the original story. That would make an excellent Star Trek 4 movie. That hands down. Okay. I got a lot ahead of me today, this weekend. So I have a parents' night out I'm doing for Burton Elementary. We have, I don't know how many kids are coming. It is for, what is it? It is for the Burton it's for the Burton cabinet. So there's only like 10 or 11 kids on the cabinet. So I'm not going to have any more than that. I haven't heard anything from the teacher because she's been sick all week. So I don't know if she's coming tonight or not. And yeah, so I could get everything set up and have nobody show up. That is a possibility. I do know that flyers went out, but if the teacher isn't there to remind people, I don't know. So I could end up with one kid, I could end up with all of them, but I am pushing for, I'm still going to put on a great show no matter what. Let's see. You never got a flyer. You never got a flyer to what? The parents' night out? But let's see. What was I saying? Oh, Asa. I love you, Asa, brother. I'm very grateful for you too. I was talking about how grateful I am for everybody, but and then tomorrow I'm hanging out at a bazaar, a holiday bazaar. We're going to be handing out popcorn. Going to set up my booth, hand out popcorn and all that great stuff. And I had this idea. So if I can muster up something, a presentation really quick. So I had this idea of give the gift of martial arts. And they would, it would be like this little gift box that a belt would fit in. And instead of just the belt, I don't have one around. Instead of just the belt wrapped up like you would just buy in a shop, it would actually be tied like this. And so this is, I tied this around my calf, and so it's very, very small. It's only about the size of my hand. So I don't know how long that is, maybe 8 inches, 10 inches, something like that. Oh yeah, so it's about 10. This is about 10 inches because this is about 10 inches across. So this is about 10 inches, and then they would get a certificate and say, it'd be like, it would be worth 1 month of free martial arts. So it doesn't matter if they did 1 day a week, 2 days a week, didn't matter what program they'd get a free. And then it would be this box. So they'd open up the box and they'd get this little belt and a certificate, and it would be, it's something like an aunt or a grandma could buy or something like that. So I'm going to see if I can't whip something up, because haven't had all week to use my brain because of my damn website. I was thinking that would be kind of cool if I could, because the whole idea originally was just to go there. We're going to be in our artisan gear, hand out popcorn, have things. Popcorn brought to you by Artisan Martial Arts, that kind of stuff. And it's just going to be easy like that, just easy peasy. And then, but if I can be like, have something like give the gift of, and then have this out with a certificate, like what the certificate would look like, they'd be like, oh, that's really cool. How do I get that? Be like, oh, you just go to our website and buy that. Here's a QR code. You can pay for it here. And then they buy it, and then they would pick it up, say December 15th, or whatever. I'd have enough made up so they'd all get whatever. So I thought that would be pretty cool to be able to do. I just, again, my brain just hasn't been working because of the whole website BS. So, all right. I think that's it. I don't really have anything else. Got to do my push-ups today. I will say this, when it comes to this push-up challenge. So I'm doing, people don't know, I'm doing 100 push-ups a day, or at least 3,000 push-ups in 30 days. I try and do more just because I'd like to have rest days. Wednesday, like I said earlier, was an inadvertent rest day due to stress and need to work on the website. But we do so yesterday was 17th. I think I got up to like 17. Oh, I got up to 1711. And it was really funny because when I was doing, I was like, because when I pushed out my last set, I think I did 30. I really should have done 20, because then I would have gotten to 1,701, 1701. That's a huge number for me, but that's just, I just try and do as much as I can. But what's really cool is that the first time I did the push-ups, I knocked out 35, and that was on day one. The first set was 35, and then it just kind of, that first week, it went down from there. It was like 28 was the next day, and the next day was 20, and and then of course after that first week, maybe first week and a half, of course, my body started getting used to it, and I started being able to do more and more and more. So after my day of rest on last Sunday, I think Monday, I knocked out, I think, 35 on the first set. And generally I can do 25 to 30 after that. Yesterday, after my inadvertent rest day, which was actually pretty good, I knocked out 40 on my first set. And I'm just like, that was great. And then I was able to do 35 each set after that. And then the last one, it was late at night. I wanted to get out more so I can catch up as much as I can, because I forgot an entire day. So I was only able to do like 30. But I mean, that's 140 for the day. I mean, if I had just been done I just did in 3 sets, I did 110, which I'm just like, that's so cool. And it was only maybe an hour, a couple hours in between, because I got started late in the day. So I think I did my first set at 2, and then by the time my class started, let's see. Well, I got 9, so I got 2 sets done before my class at 6. And then I did 10 push-ups in class. I didn't count those. So really I did 150. And then I did 35 before I went home. I think. I can't remember. I can't exactly remember exactly when but anyway, so I figure if I start earlier, get them done earlier. But anyway, yeah. Asa says, excellent job on those push-ups. Are you going to do 100 sit-ups a day for the next month? I don't know. I might. Let's see. As for this, let's see, you can print out something like gift certificates for a free class or free week. I used to do that for birthday parties held at the school. I'll send you one of those I used to print up. Oh, cool. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, I have a certificate. I just gotta figure out where it is. But yeah, I think that would. But I wanted to make it. I wanted to make it like a gift. At first, it was just gonna be a whole belt, but I figured, oh no, it'd be kind of nice to get just like this little belt they can use this, and then one person told me I should just give the uniform. Like the person can guess on size, and they bring in the uniform. Like no. I say they'll get a little gift box they can open up, and then when they actually come in and submit the certificate or whatever, then they can then they'll get when they actually start classes, they'll get an actual uniform their size, because I don't want to give out because a lot of times grandparents don't know the size. They don't know what size their kids, their grandkids are, or aunts and uncles, or they guess. Sometimes parents don't even know. But I figure at the time it'll be one of those where it's like, oh, okay, parent signs them up, kids, youth large or whatever, and you just and then that also saves some uniforms, so I don't just run out. I'm hoping that all the uniforms that are purchased, or all the certificates that are purchased, if I sell any this season, um, that that they would all be redeemed. But if they're not, then I'm not out uniforms. I still have stock. I don't need to order new ones to have stuff printed off. So that's why I wanted to do this whole thing. So, yeah, that's kind of it. So, got a busy day ahead of me today, tomorrow. What is it? Sunday is going to be a day of rest for everything. Are you able to buy? Oh yeah, I have an account with Century, so I have a wholesale account with Century. So I do get stuff wholesale. So and I've actually found a place I can buy boxes really cheap for the display boxes. So yeah, I can get a lot of that stuff, and even the shirts. I get stuff. I get shirts wholesale too. So I've that's left over from when I made T-shirts. So I just buy. I don't have anybody make my shirts. I make them myself. So all that I have wholesale accounts everywhere for that stuff. So I'm not too worried about that. It's just that if I don't have to reprint a jacket that no one's ever going to wear, or well, you know what I mean. Just time I don't want to waste. I'd rather just print something off, give them a code, and be good with it. So, there we go. So, thank you for tuning in. I may or may not be on next Friday. I might, just because it's the day after Thanksgiving. But everybody have a good Thanksgiving. If you have not purchased, let me put this back up. There we go. You can go to Artisan Martial Arts, click on Pro Shop and then click on the Q Show information guide. You got 2 more days to do that for getting the pre-orders. I am putting those orders in for those guys who have already pre-ordered. They are pre-ordered now because it goes to print today. And it's Dan Anderson's birthday today too. He is 70 years old. So he's off vacationing right now. But yeah, so everyone have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your time with your family. If you are down in the dumps, kind of like I was this whole week with my damn website, just find there is something to be grateful for, even if it's small, even the small things. So, love to you all. Thank you for your support. Go out there, be safe, and I will see you next time I'm on. Probably next week, but yeah, next week. See you next Friday.